Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hello.
That is Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. A couple of things before we get into this episode, guys. One is, by the time you're hearing this, I think tomorrow is the beginning of the H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival.
Oh,
yes,
so
that is
exciting.
right.
Which I am going to be, I don't know if I'm a guest or not. I know that I'm on a panel, and part of my writing is in the Challenge from Beyond book.
Nice.
Which was really a thrill to be invited to do that. I also know because of this that your anniversary is right around the corner, Vanessa.
That's true.
Oh, yeah, it is, huh?
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. I very much forgot.
Wow.
I've been doing a lot of stuff, okay?
One year and it's out.
That's right. The bloom is off the rose. I wanted to talk to you guys. The WGA strike appears to be over.
Yeah.
They're finalizing stuff right now. The SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, is still on strike.
Right.
And the WGA writers are not going to go back to work until that is finalized and figured out. So hopefully that happens pretty quickly. Reports are that for some reason, the WGA contracts were pushed through on this last weekend, and they were pushed through hard, as if there was some reason all of a sudden for them to get this all done. They said that there were very important people from the studios working late on Sunday nights to get this all done. And my question is, where was this urgency 5 months ago?
Yeah.
You know,
what happened?
I was also very curious because there were a lot of reports that, the head of all these major studios were like, fucking what? And they just were like, I'm from Disney, I'm from Netflix, I'm from so-and-so. And these people showed up to have the conversation. And I'm like, what? And there was one lady who was in charge of the union talks before this. And I'm like, what was her holdup that she was like, not gonna move forward, that these guys were like, screw you, we gotta go, and like got up out of their very fancy homes and drove down, and
so
were
you're
like,
saying
we were gonna iron it out.
One person is representing the studios?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I heard that
their
differently.
End of it.
Like,
no, their end of it. So I'm wondering what on earth her hard line was that she was told to maintain and keep them from getting whatever it is they wanted, that all of a sudden the studios were enticed enough to send their number one people to just be like knocking down the door and being like, we cannot keep sitting here wasting money. So what was that for sure? I think I'm super curious.
Christmas movies.
There's a story here. I just wonder what it is.
Yeah, I mean, they lost the amount of money that they would have supposedly, had to have spent on these writers within the first less than a month of this strike.
Yeah.
So what on earth they were holding out for? I guess somebody out there really wanted AI rights, or I don't know, but
yeah, that's going to be that's still what SAG is fighting over, is that idea of digitizing people's faces and only paying them once.
Yeah. There is one thing that happened where you cannot copyright AI material, and that just happened this week. So
I thought that had already been decided. There'd been one months ago where they did a thing where you couldn't copyright
There's a new one.
AI stuff.
Yeah, there's a new one from this week that I'd heard about. So I'm wondering if that was a big part of it. Like they realized they couldn't copyright AI.
So they couldn't write
material.
A script.
Yes.
And then
everybody
have any
right to it.
You no longer have to make Transmorphers. You could just make Transformers.
Yes.
Because you can't put a copyright on that AI written script.
Yes. I wonder.
That sounds like the kind of thing that would lead to definite action.
Yeah.
How are they going to be able to tell?
Oh, how could you not tell?
Well, sure, now. 10 years from now, how are they going to be able to tell?
I mean, I think that's what we're fighting over, right?
Well, I guess that's what I'm saying. How will you be able to tell? I mean, I love my writer friends. I support you very much.
You are a writer friend.
You're all out there saying that AI couldn't write human stories. This last year has been full of shit movies that are all exactly the same, and I guarantee you AI can write that. They can write Marvel movies.
The difference would be you'd have to if you're going to move to an AI writing thing that can't be copyrighted, you have to come up with a way to hide it, which means
you have to create
probably
a fake person.
or underpaying a real person
right
to say they wrote it.
Well, no, I guess
there's got to be.
So that's an interesting thing. I was saying this: how is a corporation to know that Joe Schmo hasn't used AI to write the script that they love?
Oh, I see.
That he pitched.
I mean, that's going to be a tough one. Maybe. I mean, the thing that I always want to lean back on, especially for teaching and getting like papers from kids that are AI generated, just pencil and paper, yo.
That's true.
Real easy.
Make it free handwriting.
Freehand write it.
That's true.
Seems very, very
All right,
simple.
Here's my AI writing. I've got my pen and my paper here, and I'll just write this out in pen and paper. Here you go.
I mean, that's so much more work than,
I
than
pity
just being creative.
The studio head that has to read any of Eric's writing.
Oh, God, no. You can't.
Yes.
It has to be typed. It's just not going to happen.
But
well,
at
the
least
other
if
thing,
there's that copy.
There's also, there's also, as AI advances, there's also advanced AI detectors. Like you can plug a writing into it and it'd say this is a 80% probability it's AI written,
right.
Which of course at this point isn't very accurate because it does it to like 70% AI writing. Well, I wrote this entire thing myself.
Well, and the thing that nobody wants to say, and probably I'll get smacked for saying, is for the actors is a studio could put a sign up at a Starbucks and says, come on down here. We'll charge you $150. We'll take your face and we're going to put it in a bunch of movies. Mm-hmm. We'll give you tickets to the first one for free. And people will line up around the block and pay the studios $150 to have their faces digitized and put into a bunch of movies.
That's true. I mean, the perfect example is our own experience of what it's like shooting a film in a city that's not a film city.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody opens their doors to you.
Yeah.
And they'll let you use their house for free.
Mm-hmm.
And that's obviously in LA or New York, that is not going to happen. You're going to have to pay a shitload to use anybody's house for anything.
Right.
But up here, nobody cares. So this is just fun and exciting. And the background extras, unfortunately, which I think is a good skill that a lot of people do some neat shit with, but I don't think the studios care about that.
Right.
Yeah. There's a really good thing I read recently about one of the guys who was in Power Rangers. He was like some digitized face or something, and he came in one day. They paid him like $150, something really small. He acted, and then he ended up being in hundreds of episodes that they used his likeness.
Oh, geez.
So I think that this conversation is the entire purpose of a union. Because yes, in my industry, it's the same way. For editing, there are people out there who will take $20.
Exactly.
They'll take,
What's it
pittance, a minimum wage an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And that undermines everybody down the line. And so there's a lot of pressure when you get into the industry to be like, no, you have to charge your worth because otherwise you screw the rest of us over. And that's sort of the purpose, I would think, of a union, to prevent that desperation from ruling the entire way we do it.
Fiverr, I think it's called, or something like that.
Jesus.
Yeah, where people put up whatever they want to do and charge whatever they want.
Yep.
Five's the starting amount.
You get what you pay for.
Well, yeah,
Always.
That's true. I mean, we do have a listener who many of you know comments on their YouTubes a lot, who has done years and years of background work and walk-on extras. So I'm curious what he's going to say about this episode.
Is that Real Badger?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I want to see his stuff. I went through and read a bunch of posts on the YouTube things just recently and liked them, and literally liked them. Thumbs up.
Well, thumbs up like. So, yeah, there's a lot. That copyright thing, to me, I think you hit on one of the key things for the WGA, though.
Yeah, I think that was the thing because I was sitting around thinking the exact same thing you were, Kelly, where I was like, what is it? Why did these guys move forward? What was this fire about? And it can't be, I mean, it could be Christmas, but that's already come and gone. We're too late.
Yeah, it's a little late for most studios to go into production.
Yeah.
Unless we're ready to go and had to stop.
Yeah, I don't think it's just AI generated. I think it was even AI generated with a certain amount of alteration.
And also
still not copyrightable.
It would also indicate what you're talking about, why they waited.
Yeah.
Because they knew this court case was coming up.
Yeah.
And they were waiting to see what would happen with it. And as soon as it went the way they didn't want to, they say, okay, let's finish it.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm on the latest episode of the CZ Media podcast.
Yes, you are.
Which was recorded about a month ago. And we talked about the strike. And I remember telling Carlos, hey, put this out immediately because, the strike could end tomorrow. So it's out now after the strike has ended.
It came out, the day after the strike ended?
That's because I sent him a note saying, you waited too long, buddy.
But yeah, if any of our listeners out there know more about this, I would love to hear other theories and ideas too.
Yeah. Yeah, watch the YouTube. I bet Real Bad will have something interesting to say.
Okay.
I'm stoked.
Very cool. You guys, I watched some movies.
What?
Oh,
this
is
shocking information.
Should we get into Blue Beetle? Because I think, Vanessa, you and I have a
differing we do. We seem
opinion
to.
on this.
Yeah, you saw Blue Beetle.
I saw Blue Beetle, and I thought it was cookie cutter fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it could have been so much better.
I do see your point. I think that there are places it could have been way tighter. He spends a long time in that suit flailing around, not knowing what's up. Which
would have been a lot of fun if we didn't have 3 Iron Man movies.
Yes, unfortunately. I will say I think it's very cookie cutter good for a Marvel movie. I think for a DC movie, it's very good.
Wow. It certainly wasn't grim and gritty.
Right. It wasn't grim and gritty. There were characters I cared about.
There was humor in it.
Nice.
Just overall, I thought, I understand there are people out there saying representation matters and everything.
Right.
But shouldn't it not just be, I just want more Latino actors getting roles? Shouldn't it be, let's give them amazing roles so that people go, holy cow, we've been sitting on a gold mine of talent that we didn't realize.
I think that's the hope. I think that's probably the intention, but not every piece is going to be as good as even when you see the script. When you see the final result, sometimes it's like, oh, I thought the movie I was going to be in was going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But it feels so much flatter than I also have no clear concept clearly of how well this represented South American culture and whether or not this actually did hit home for
represent
people.
South American culture. It's a generic, because DC never takes place in a world with our cities.
Yeah.
So this was some kind of generic Florida,
yes.
A Hispanic speaking American city.
I meant culturally rather than. Yeah, exactly. I don't know, because I felt like the theater that I was at happened to be really filled to the brim with families that were, Hispanic, Mexican, all cheering and excited and engaged and participating. But then it sounds like other people didn't have that experience. And if it didn't financially hit, then, there's questions. It's like, okay, what did we do right with Asian cinema in the last 5-10 years that we're not doing right with other cultures? What are we doing right with Black actors and getting them infused into incredible content that we're not getting?
I think the answer to that is really obvious. I don't know, was Blue Beetle written by Latino filmmakers? I thought it was.
I have to Google it.
I thought it was a couple of white writers and a white director.
It could be. I mean, I thought it was, but I have no idea. No real concept.
Because I would say that the Asian cinemas were getting Asian people creating the films.
The director was Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican, okay.
Which makes sense because the hot
Right?
actress was Puerto Rican, I believe.
The hot actress.
The
daughter of
yeah.
Ted Cord.
Yeah.
I was just
I have no idea about the writer.
of course, sir, that sounds Hispanic to me.
Yeah.
I guess the reason I say this is because something like 30 Coins
Mhm.
is just amazing, right?
Yeah.
And it's cast with Latino actors and written and directed by, I mean, it's made down.
Well,
in-
it's Spanish.
Right. So but that's my point. It's got a very definite look, feel, cultural feel to it, right?
But it is from there. It isn't.
it's not American
it is.
production.
We bought it and are showing it on HBO here, but
I understand
it's not.
that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying what makes it so strong is it's
So authentic.
it's authenticity,
Right.
which I did not see in this film.
Right. No, you're right. Like there's a gap and the gap gets bigger and bigger and bigger the more people need to make money off of that film.
Oh, sure.
And I feel like that's why we get things like Jordan Peele having incredible work, because he starts so small and he gets a smaller piece of pie and a slightly bigger piece of pie and a slightly bigger piece of pie. And then they're like, and here's a big piece of pie. Oh shit, you gave us money back. Yay. So I feel like there's a weird like reward system, test reward.
It's part of
situation.
a overall problem with Hollywood as a whole right now is the 70s, 80s, 90s, you had $1 million movies, you had $100 million movies, and you had $30 million
Right.
movies. That middle ground is virtually disappeared.
Yeah.
And that middle ground was where experimental ideas of something different than what Hollywood is played and came out. And interesting things that Hollywood wouldn't have made because they have to do what they did with Blue Beetle, which is genericize it a little bit, make it a little more generic. And well, we're doing this, but we don't want to do too much of that. So we got to make our $400 million or whatever they spent on that back. So we need that middle ground back from studios that can still afford to pay a $30 million film.
This is one of the things I spoke to Carlos about on his podcast was it's so unfair to these movies because they've got, a $400 million budget, which means they've got to make $1 billion eventually.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That puts way too much pressure on the actors, the director, and the writer to, because that's who's going to get blamed when it doesn't make $1 billion.
Right.
But
Right.
we are all so tired of these kind of movies that why would anyone think they could still make $1 billion?
Mhm.
Yeah, you're so right. When you've got films that should be knocking out of the ballpark but can't, how on earth are you going to get ones with like a new hero, with a new face, with, a specific lean and bent to it that also cost a bucket of money? How on earth are they going to make it back? It's ludicrous.
It makes me wonder. I mean, there's just so much talk about James Gunn's new DC stuff, and it's like, well, can he even do it? I know that they're bringing in, Superman. It's going to be really sad if Superman can't bring in a lot of people, but I think people might be tired of Superman, quite honestly.
Mhm.
Especially if he's perfect.
Yeah.
Or if he's gritty and not Superman.
Right. I have high hopes for the Creature Commandos thing, but that's going to be a cartoon and it's going to be, fun. And
it probably will be better than most DC
Right.
output.
Well, the funny thing is, like we're all excited for James Gunn, but who was excited for James Gunn's Suicide Squad and actually attended? That wasn't a financial success, was it?
I think it was a financial success,
did.
but it wasn't a hit.
Yeah.
Right.
It was, I think mostly what they were looking at was that the people who went to see the movie liked the movie.
Right.
And so they were like, oh, this guy must know what he's doing.
Well, he made so much for Marvel. I mean, like he got Guardians as one of the most beloved Marvel series, but when he was doing anything else, like he was still. No one was like, yeah, James Gunn. Like it's weird. It's going to be an interesting.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
You need to find the person in the middle. Right now, Hollywood's largely run by a bunch of people who don't give a shit about anything other than like stock prices and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then you got James Gunn, who is a very artistic person,
Yeah.
very creative.
Yeah.
So you need that person that kind of sits in the middle, that loves movies and wants to make really good movies, but also understands it is a business. And there doesn't seem to be any of that middle ground sitting up in those high offices and stuff like that. We're all bankers. Doesn't matter what our business is. We're just bankers.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a good point.
Yep.
Good point. Blue Beetle, thumbs down from me.
All right. Well, now this is something we're going to get into a lot more next week, but I just got back. I'm very tired from Fantastic Fest, where I saw 17 movies in 4 days.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I'm just going to briefly mention some of the really big ones that I saw that people are probably buzzing about and talking all kinds about right now. So I'll start off with the secret film. I only managed to get into one because you still have to do this sort of lottery system where you get up at 10 a.m. or in my case, 9:58 and start clicking on
like
movies.
The Vanessa, I know.
No. I'm sorry. I was up already, but I was clicking the button at 9:58 and managed to actually finally get for the last day one of the secret screenings, which are incredibly difficult to get into. And I was so hyped because all the other secret screening movies were amazing. And I got there and the guy comes out and a little doll on a fucking tricycle with circles on his face wheels his way around behind the speaker. And I went, no. Oh, no.
But you stayed and watched Saw
X,
what is
10,
this,
whatever
the
it
10th
is.
film?
Prequel to the whole franchise, of which I have seen one all the way through.
Oh, jeez.
Now,
The first one.
The first one,
The
of
good one.
course. The good
Yeah.
one. Now, if I have not made this clear on the show before, I am not a torture porn person.
True.
And I have tried to watch various elements of torture porn movies. And I have always been like, this is not for me. And so I'm like, first of all, I don't know anything about the Saw mythos. I don't know what the fuck the little tricycle guy is. I don't know the story of the lady with the pig head aside from Dead by Daylight video game plays. I'm greatly lost on the dude, whoever, I don't even remember his name, the Saw man who creates the rooms.
Yeah. Who's the actor that plays that?
Oh, Tobin Bell plays him, but I
Tobin
have no
Bell.
idea who he is.
So this is all about Tobin Bell, this movie. It's about it's really gross, of course. It's torture porn, of course. And the first half of it, they're like, you like Saw, you like fucked up shit. Here's some fucked up shit to stare at for no reason.
Nice.
And then they pivot because it's a prequel and they're like, we got to make this guy real sympathetic and he's gonna be the hero that you root for. And that is a big ask. That is a really big ask when you've seen him do the crap he's done. I was like, why do you think I'm going to like this man?
How very Rob Zombie of them.
It was incredibly so. It was not a great movie. It was made much worse so by being part of a system of films that I fucking hate. And I was in oh my God, my husband was sat there next to me and he was having such a good time. And he'd been telling me how we're going to get the box set and watch them all through so I would know. And then we watched this movie and his dreams are dead. They are well and truly dead. I was like, I am not seeing another one of these fucking films. No fucking way. I need a plot. I need a reason that I'm sitting here. I will watch somebody's eyes get eaten out by whatever, toxic bleach fumes, but I need to know why. Like, it can't just be for the sake of watching what would happen if I already have a mind palace of nightmares. You do not need to add to them. I am a creative, depressed, poor person. I don't need this to be added, so I will not watch it unless there's a good reason.
That's pretty disappointing to me because I thought that what was that one with Chris Rock? Saw Spiral or something?
Yeah,
Or it was
Spiral.
just called Spiral.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, okay, they're going in a different direction with this now. They're
I
going
think
to
they
try
want to.
but
This,
it sounds like they did not with this new movie.
well, what they're doing, I mean, I don't know because I haven't seen them all, but what the people, the producers who talked afterwards said is they want to set up the option to be able to follow other people and other characters that are not part of the initial, like they're creating new
Halloween
mythos.
3
Yeah.
idea.
They're trying to create networks and paths of being like, oh, what happened to this person? And what happened to this other, the pig-faced chick? Like, how does she get into this? And like, what about this Mexican division of it? Like, what does that stand for? So I think they want to open more doors, which is why they did this.
Yeah.
But to me, I was just like, this fucking stupid movie.
You're not into this whole Saw expanded universe.
Sure, I'm not.
I've
First
seen
one was fine. Carrie Elwes, I will watch in a heartbeat. But
I've
I
seen
don't need
several
anything
of
else.
them, but to be honest, I have absolutely no idea which ones I've seen other than the first one because they just mesh
They're
together
the same
in a
thing.
giant glob of movie.
Yeah, I remember there was like some drug chick, and so they threw her in a pit of needles. Ooh. I was like, great, cool. This is definitely cinema on any level. I'm not just like a person back in the, in Rome watching somebody get eaten by a lion for entertainment. Like that is what it is to me. And that is great for a lot of people. And I'm really glad that it exists for them. But for me, it is not.
I really love it when snarky offended Vanessa shows up.
Yeah. That was interesting. I like that.
What do you see, Eric?
You could probably watch the one I watched, but you may hate it too.
Oh, God.
We're still in DeBronzo world with some of these.
Oh, my gosh.
For my 100 days.
No.
The Deadly Spawn.
Oh, I like this movie.
This one's freaking great, actually.
Yeah.
So far, the DeBronzo recommendations have actually been what I would call really good bad movies, where they're entertaining. Some of them are bordering on actually being a good movie, but there's major shit holding it back from getting there.
Right.
Like this one, without the Spawn, you're talking about a fairly generic, nothing movie, but the effects are so fun and the creature's so batshit crazy
yes.
that it just makes the whole movie worth watching. It's actually quite entertaining because of that. So I think you did fine with that one. I don't have any rants or any extended thing to talk about after Blue Beetle and Saw X. So.
Well, we could rant about DeBronzo taking over our podcast.
He really has.
Well, the 100 movie things. It's always nice to
Have new content.
I'll ignore this list I've got from Letterboxd that I've had for 10 years or whatever.
Oh, no.
And start watching these random new things that aren't new at all.
Oh, gosh.
I should read. Will Lau sent me a review of what's the new AI movie.
The one with the kid with a hole in his head?
And
the creator?
He's the creator. Did you get to see that, Vanessa?
I did.
Oh, I won't say anything. I'll tell you what Will said after you talk about it. I want to talk about Gen V.
Oh my gosh.
The spin-off show.
Yeah.
I completely missed this.
3 episodes out now.
Yeah,
by the time you hear this, maybe 4. It is, it's a spin-off of The Boys.
Okay, yeah.
And it's everything that The Boys has in it.
Okay.
There is, I hope you like full frontal male nudity. Because
like is a strange word, but it's very prevalent nowadays.
There is a scene of a very, very large penis, very large balls, lots of hair on those balls. I hope that you're into that.
Oof.
I'm looking at you, Vanessa.
Oh, God.
I know that Eric is.
Yeah, we're good.
I'll say this. I laughed.
Okay, good. You should. It's that kind of movie.
It's also very dark and depressing. It's just one of those things where you're just like, well, I got to laugh. Because otherwise, it's like, what the fuck am I doing with this show?
Dark
It is
humor.
Very black humor.
Do you think that there's did they have a good enough reason to do this?
I think, the reason is it is a spin-off of a show that has very black humor.
Yeah.
Right.
So that is the universe that this show inhabits, a bleak universe of superheroes who are not very heroic.
Is it from the original? Is it Garth Ennis stuff, or is it more from the show itself?
Well, remember the boys? The boys ran for like 100 some issues, and it wasn't always about just the group of superheroes, and it wasn't always about the boys either. It had kind of a spin-off where they would go to that Teen Titans kind of team and stuff like that. This takes place in a university after the world has now realized that the reason they have superheroes is because of that Gen V.
Okay.
And so the kids in this universe are those kids. So everybody's got some kind of superpower. Some of them are really lame superpowers. Some of them are really gross superpowers. And it's dealing with that, From this university comes people who, superpowered people who the high point would be you get enlisted into the Seven or one of the other super teams. Sure. But they've also got a dramatic arts program, so you could become a superpowered actor or spokesperson or whatever. So it really deals with, the politics and complexities of university life.
That gives me the weirdest flashback of reading. I don't know if you've ever read much Pierce Anthony, but he did this series called the Xanth novels.
Oh yeah, I remember Xanth.
Yeah, everybody has a magic power.
Right.
And there's the poor guy whose magic power is putting a spot on the wall.
Oh man.
Yeah, I would say if you like the boys, you're gonna like Gen V.
Oh, well, gosh, well, I can definitely talk about the creator. I was going to mention Toxic Avenger, but I don't think it would take very much time.
Mention them both.
All right. I'll mention them both. Just because it's hot off the press, guys. Toxic Avenger, just really quick. Not terrible, not incredible.
What are your thoughts on the original?
I've never seen it. And I'm also not like a big trauma person. So I feel like, I know, weird, huh? I feel like it was kind of lost on me, unfortunately. There was a lot of humor in there that I don't find anything funny. So I was like, oh, cool, great. I'm sure this is funny for other people, and I'm glad for them.
I love that somebody who hates humor so much could be so damn funny at times.
Did the audience seem to enjoy it?
I feel like it was a real mixed bag because, again, there are people who are obsessed with the original who are going to find this bland or middling or depressing or like, why did they even try? Why'd they even do it? And there are other people who are just like, yes, this universe has been opened up and they're really playing with it. And they're really like the guy who runs Trauma. I can't remember his name now.
That's Lloyd Kaufman still, isn't it?
In it. So he obviously gave his blessing.
Okay.
Yeah. So any of that kind of like, well, Trauma didn't sign off on. Oh yes. Oh,
is this
Trauma.
Not a Trauma production?
I think it is a Trauma production, but my understanding initially was that it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
So
Lloyd Kaufman will show up anywhere at any time if somebody's paying him. That's I have no problem believing. Oh, you want to do a remake? Sure, great. What are we doing? Signed off. Have you have a script?
Yes.
Maybe I should read. Nah, screw it. Go.
Let's go. Where's the money?
The check is really good.
I will say, like, despite it maybe not working great for me personally, the acting in it I thought was really strong. I think Peter Dinklage did an awesome job. I think he really killed it. Nice. And there's a couple other actors in there that are great too. So, so then I'll just quickly switch gears over to Creator, which is another highly anticipated movie that's probably going to be out by the time we even talk about this. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of this stuff is like hot on the heels of just national release. I very much liked it. I really enjoy. I mean, I'm a big sci-fi nerd. I thought it was a really beautiful story. Not only was it well told, but I think visually very stunning. Maybe simple. Maybe a little bit obvious at times. But
my take just from the trailer is AI is going to be fine as long as it's a cute little kid, and we all want to protect it because it's an adorable little kid. That's AI. How it will take us all over. Not looking like Terminator, but looking like this cute little kid that we all want to save.
Well, this is definitely one of those films that it spends a lot of time going, well, you think AI is bad, but maybe people are the real monsters.
Oh, okay, sure.
It's one of those. So,
sure.
Yeah. So that's, it's going to be a little paint by numbers in that department.
Sure. Will's thoughts?
Would you like to hear what Will thought about it?
Oh, yes, sure. Yeah. Oh, God.
Will, I hope it's okay that I'm reading your text to me.
If
Hi,
not,
Kelly.
let us know.
Hi, Kelly. Bad movie alert.
Oh no.
Just saw the creator and came out of the theater livid, which I love.
Livid?
There we go.
Love it. Thank you. He says, pretentious, lofty, heavy-handed, uncharismatic leads, poorly scripted, corny as hell, with an annoying kid. It was a whole lot of nothing and stole every sci-fi movie trope you've seen. I feel cheated.
Okay, well, I do have to say, if you saw the trailer for that and thought you were getting something real unique,
Yeah. Okay, sure. I can
you
see
had
that.
high expectations that were not warranted.
I want Will to co-host an episode. Maybe Will and I should do a podcast together. We can be livid and furious at the same
Yes,
time.
no one loves anything more than listening to two dudes rant about shit.
Yes.
Remember, he's got a lovely British accent. They'd listen, no problem.
There you go. That does help.
It's true. Well,
Okay.
yeah. Well,
Let's move
I
it
liked
down
it.
again. This is not. I sadly moved off of the Bronzo representative recommendations for this one
Oh,
and crapped out hard.
Oh, no.
2023 movie. 'Cause it seems like there's some really good movies coming out in 2023, but there's not a lot. It's like I'm looking through going, well, no, that's 2022. No, that's 2021. Oh, 2023, Blood Harvest. This is very low budget, which I don't have a problem with.
Mhm.
The actors were working really hard and actually were not terrible, but the script was like snoozy. And somebody had an idea. It's like there's a chicken thing connected with it. Didn't bother to figure that out. So through 70% of the movie, there's this fucking clucking noise going on.
Oh, no.
And I don't know if it's,
No.
I was listening on headphones, so that probably enhanced the joy of this extra noise. No, this was not for me. I don't think I even finished watching it. I'm not sure. If I did, I might have been asleep.
Oh,
But it was
man.
that sound was so bad.
Oh, man.
And like I said, the acting was good. It was decently shot for the low budget it had. It had like, come on, get it together, get it. Click, 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 click.
This is part of your hashtag 100 Days of Horror, right?
Yes.
If I do my math correctly, you've got to be about 70 movies into...
I'm somewhere in the 60s.
Oh, okay.
We'll see how it goes here in the end.
You better.
I will probably clock in a couple at least in this upcoming weekend.
Okay.
You know, I may have to
Another
actually go to
reason-
some movies at the Lovecraft Festival.
Oh, good point. Good point.
Another
oh,
reason
man.
for you to attend Fantastic Fest
Yeah,
one
man,
day,
I
Eric.
could've gotten a whole
You could have
bunch.
just done a whole slew of them.
I have a sidebar on that. I understand I'm of two minds with big festivals like that. I
Yeah.
understand you need to sell tickets, but I find it frustrating that a festival that has so much power
Yeah.
and so much range is doing creator. Because
Yeah.
everybody knows that film. This isn't a movie that has no
It's going to be
budget.
in multiplexes everywhere.
I mean,
It-
it's Toxic
Yeah.
Avenger sits in the middle. Okay, I can see that one because
Yeah.
you're still talking about Lloyd Kaufman and a worldwide lesser known Toxic Avenger isn't really well known, but Saw X, Creator, these are movies with hundreds of millions of dollars of
Yeah.
advertising budgets behind them. I'd rather Fantastic Fest sound the unusual fantastic movies, but then they probably go, well, if we show these big movies, then we get people to come in and then they'll go watch our more unusual films, which if that's true, great.
So there are 10 screenings.
Mhm.
There are 10 screens showing films at every block, and there's 5 blocks throughout the day. The creator was playing against probably 2 or 3 other independent movies. They are
And which of those 4 screens had the most people?
well, they will all fill.
Okay.
So you will get in a lottery and you will try to get in one, and if you don't get in that, you'll go into a different one. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Oh, that's
so I
interesting.
actually saw a crazy ton of independent films, and there are shorts that are lined up with all stuff too. They actually, I will say, just for their credit, they did a very good job of getting in weird, little known, indie budget, no budget, strange things that I didn't expect. So I agree with you. I'm not entirely sure why I was forced to watch Saw X. Really,
Well,
I
it
think
sounds
it was
like your
just
husband
hype.
was that reason.
Well, no, it was the secret screening, so I was hopeful that it was going to be something freaking awesome, like, I don't know, a Nick Cage movie where he's in everybody's dreams, or fucking Dogman, or one of the other cool ones that they showed. But no, I got fucking Saw X. I'm guessing there's some kind of weird promotional thing, or some kind of like, oh yeah, we've got the hype now, we can talk about creator, and they get cred because they were playing at Fantastic Fest. I'm sure there's a weird handshake deal in there.
Yeah,
But they are doing a really good job of making you see other weird, off the ball, interesting content too.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, let's save that for the next episode.
Yes.
Okay. How about we take a little break then? And when we come back, we're going to be talking Ray Bradbury Theater.
I get out of bed every morning, I step on a landmine. That's me. I explode. And then I spend the rest of the day putting myself back together. Fahrenheit was an outgrowth of my knowing about Hitler's burning of the books in Germany in 1934 and other times. And that thought of all that very precious knowledge being burned is really terrible to me. I'm one of those impulsive writers who, as soon as he gets an idea, writes it within the next hour. I never delay. It's very important to be emotional and have fun with it. Everything we've done the last 50,000 years is science fiction, which changes overnight into reality. But we've never labeled it that way. Between here and the end of the century, we're going to rebuild all of our cities and make them better. This I know.
Hello?
Let's see who's called the Strange Eons radio hotline.
Hey guys, it's Mike DeBronzo. Eric, Night of the Demon may be the top of the mountain, peak. I think everything's going to be downhill from here. So, I don't know what to tell you, man. A lot of those good ones, quote unquote, that I sent your way, you've actually already seen, but I'm still digging. So, I'm thrilled you enjoyed it. I was actually in the parking lot of a Dunkin' Donuts listening to the podcast, stuff on my face. And you heard how you're like, I like it. Like, yes. So, excellent job. You have amazing taste, even though, well, it's questionable for both of us. So, keep on keeping on. And I look forward to the next horrible feature you dive into that I sent you. Have a good one, guys.
If you'd like to call the Strange Eons radio hotline, dial 253-237-4266.
Nobody hangs up on me.
And we have returned. Guys, this is our first episode of the October Country, which means we're going to be watching episodes of Ray Bradbury Theater all month long and discussing that.
Yeah.
When I had this idea, I hadn't really watched any of the Ray Bradbury Theater in a long time.
Oh, okay.
And I was a little surprised, as you were saying, Vanessa, at the quality of some of it.
It's a little surprising.
It was HBO, right?
It was HBO. Well,
Yeah.
I actually have a little information here.
Okay.
Ray Bradbury Theater is an anthology series that ran for 3 seasons on First Choice Super Channel in Canada and HBO in the United States from 85 to 86, and then on USA Network for 4 additional seasons from 88 to 92.
Ooh.
What I thought was so interesting about this is that all 65 episodes were written by Ray Bradbury and based on his short stories. So,
Let's see how it goes.
well, first of all, like right off the bat, you're looking at that old television aspect ratio.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot. We all looked at boxes for so long.
So
That's right.
long.
Mhm.
Good old squares.
I'll start the buzzer, but I don't think we'll really need it because these are short episodes. I will say I'm spoiling the heck out of my stories because they're old stories. And if you're familiar with Ray Bradbury, you're familiar with all these stories. So, everybody okay with that?
A-okay.
Okay.
Hold on. Is that different than what you normally do?
Yeah,
Listen, I just do what I want.
sassy.
I'm out of control. I chose for my first one from season 4, episode 3, The Lake.
People ask, where do you get your ideas? Well, right here. All this is mine. I'll never starve here. I'm Ray Bradbury. And this is...
The long, hot summers of childhood surround me in photos taken along the shores of Lake Michigan. Looking at them many years ago, I remembered when I built impossible cities out of sand and discovered that the lake could be a sorrow as well as a joy. When I finished writing this story at the age 22, I was in tears and knew that at last I had become a writer.
July 1989. This was directed by Pat Robbins, who has 3 directing credits. But her main job is script supervisor and continuity, and she did stuff like the Lord of the Rings movies, Krampus, things like that. So her career took off with script and supervisor continuity.
So if anybody's beards change a length, her fault.
That's right.
That whole series.
This stars Gordon Thompson, 56 credits, including episodes of every single TV series in the 1980s, but also 183 episodes of Dynasty, 368 episodes of Santa Barbara, and 226 episodes of Sunset Beach. It also stars Tina Retjian, who has 17 credits, including Diagnosis Death, Secondhand Wedding, and Dead Alive. Okay. We meet Douglas and Margaret, newly married, and apparently Douglas is driving her around his childhood hometown for the first time, showing her his old hangouts and such. Douglas is an artist, and he has a sadness about him. Oh. And when Margaret sees a lake in through a clearing of trees, she's like, "What? You never told me about the lake." And she runs down there, and he follows behind, obviously troubled. What follows is a series of flashbacks to Douglas as a boy of 10, building a sandcastle on the edge of the shore. This shitty little bully dude runs through his sandcastle and breaks it, and then a cute little girl shows up and tells him not to worry about it. She'll help him rebuild it. She'll build half, and he'll build half.
Oh.
Her name is Tally, and she is visiting the area with her mom. The place seems kind of like it's a tourist destination thing. They don't really do a good job of showing that part of it, but we know that she's going to be heading home at the end of the summer and all that. Over the course of the summer, we see that these 2 kids become best friends, and we learn a few things. One is Tally loves being in the water. She feels completely at home swimming in the lake. And 2, Douglas cannot swim and is actually scared of being in the lake. So throughout the summer, Douglas is happy to build sandcastles with Tally. She builds half and he builds half. And then she'll go for a swim and beg and cajole him to join her in the water, but he always resists. At one point, he even says, "Water hates people," which seems a little extreme, but okay, Ray Bradbury. Douglas is very sad that she'll be going home soon, but she tells him that she'll be back next summer and she'll be there every summer. On her last day, they build another sandcastle together, and she decides to go swimming one last time before they have to pack and go home. And then, of course, she disappears in the water and never comes back up. Her mom is freaking out on the shore and screaming and telling Douglas to do something, but he's like, "I can't swim." And realistically, he's only 10. What is he supposed to do?
Yeah.
There are a couple of lifeguards, and they go diving to try and find her, and they never do. But I'm kind of like watching this going, "Mom,
get in there.
Get in the fucking water."
Jump in there. Your hair will get wet. It'll be fine.
Exactly. Distraught, Douglas destroys the sandcastle they had just built together, and we can tell his childhood is basically over. But in the present day, so he's having this memory, the memory lines. And he comes back and he looks down the beach and he sees a sandcastle down there. And he asks Margaret to excuse him and he goes walking towards it. When he gets to it, he sees it is half of a sandcastle.
Oh.
And there are footsteps coming from the water to the castle and then back to the water, but nothing else. Just then, a tiny fishing boat pulls up to the dock, and the fisherman looks very depressed and explains that he just found the body of a young girl who had drowned in the lake. And of course, Douglas sees the hand and the hair and realizes that it's Tally's body. Not decomposed or anything. It's just like it took him coming back for her body to be found.
Creepy.
The end of the episode. It's a depressing and melancholy story, but in spite of some cringy acting by the adults, I thought it was very moving. This story is in October Country, although it was originally printed in the May 1944 issue of Weird Tales. I remember being moved by this story as a kid when I first read it, but also really moved because Bradbury said that he cried after writing it. And felt it was the finest story he'd written by that point in time and that he felt like he was finally a writer. That affected me a lot as a young writer because I don't know that I've ever felt like I was a writer, and I certainly never cried at any of the things I've written. This was Bradbury's first solo story. He had co-written a story before this, but this was his first solo story that he sold. He sold it for $13.75. Nice. He was 22 and became a full-time writer by the age of 24.
Wow.
The quality on this is pretty bad. I'm curious why I have to watch this on Freevee. This was a HBO show. Why can't I watch it on Max? Why hasn't it been preserved a little better?
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked it. I have some extra time, so I have a little piece of... I've printed out just general trivia that we can all take from. So I'm going to just read one of the general pieces of trivia I have. Bradbury lived in his parents' home until he was 27 years old and married.
Yeah, dude.
His wife was Margaret McClure from 1947 until her death in 2003. Maggie, as she was affectionately called, was the only woman he ever dated. They had 4 daughters, Susan, Ramona, Bettina, and Alexandra. Bradbury never obtained a driver's license, but relied on public transportation or his bicycle.
Wow.
Yep.
It's all coming together.
I'm turning off the buzzer.
All right.
For a second, I was like, is the buzzer going to turn itself off?
No, it was like, I have to buzz extra long since you guys aren't talking as long about these episodes. I will say this. I was moved by this adaptation, but it's not as strong as the story at all. And I get you've got 30 minutes to do that. All these episodes are only 30 minutes long. But I feel like the story is so much in the narrator's head that this was a weird one to even try to adapt. Obviously, Bradbury loves this story so much that he was like, I got to put this in. And, Vanessa, you want to go next?
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't forget to set a timer.
Please set a timer for me. Look, it will definitely take me 10 minutes.
If you go over 10 minutes there, you're fired.
So I went with one that you guys had actually suggested for me, and I'm pretty stoked about it. The Town Where No One Got Off.
Well, where to this time?
Anywhere, everywhere. Hogtown, Ironville, Wooster Falls. Look at all those names. Hard to decide.
So that's where you get all them crazy ideas.
Yes, blind faith. I collect things. Train schedules, signal lights, train tracks. switches, collect them all up, write them down, and...
Hey, that can't be old 99. What's that coming down the track?
Might be old 99.
It might be a story.
This is from season 1. It's episode 4, and I watched this streaming on Peacock, which is good because it meant there were no commercials. There were just random black fades in and outs.
Yes.
Beautiful. You know, okay, before I get into that, directed by Don McBrearty, who has 83 credits to his name. He did 2 episodes of Ray Bradbury Theater. He actually started doing a lot of TV directing in the 80s and now does massive quantities of Hallmark films, including Christmas in Love, Pride, Prejudice, and Mistletoe, Boyfriends of Christmas Past, and Jingle Bell Princess.
Did you say he's got 83 directing credits?
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord.
Most of them seem to be Hallmark associated.
They pay the bills.
Before that, he did 10 episodes of Murdoch Murders and 13 of Avonlea. This is, of course, written by Ray Bradbury, who has 120 writing credits. Of course, these are mostly based on pieces. And Mark Messari has a co-writing credit on this. He has 3 credits to his name. That's Hollywood, an episode of the TV series, and Emergency, an episode of a TV series. I don't think Bradbury chose to work with a lot of co-writers much after season 1.
I didn't realize that he did it all.
I'm shocked he would bother. This is starring Ray Bradbury as the narrator. He has 4 acting credits to his name, including Halloween Tree, one of my favorites, American Playhouse, and Rich and Famous as literary party guest. It also stars Jeff Goldblum as Cogswell, 144 credits to his name, including Jurassic Park, The Fly, Independence Day, the Thor films as Grandmaster. Not a lot of Wes Anderson movies for some reason. 24 episodes of Law & Order, Criminal Intent. I did not know. Invasion of the Body Snatchers and The Big Chill. Also in it, Ed McNamara as Old Man. 66 credits to his name, including The Black Stallion, Silver Streak, Bayo, and 102 episodes of Scarlet Hill. He also did 5 episodes of various voices in the 60s animated Spider-Man show. So we start in such an interesting way. We got Mr. Bradbury in his office with some long, wide leg pants walking through. Where do my ideas come from? Mm-hmm. This messy fucking office of hell.
I'm pretty sure that was his real office.
That is his real office. Yeah.
Oh my God, sir. Okay. I mean, I guess if I just put every random trinket I have on like a chair or on a, side lamp or whatever on the floor, then I guess that's where my ideas would come from too.
It's gigantic too.
It's a big office. Like he took over a section of his home. And this guy, he should not be introing his show.
Oh.
He's like such a dork. I mean, look, like more power to him. And they're trying to do a Hitchcock thing for sure. But he's like in this really unflattering sweater vest. And he cannot speak out loud at a camera in a way that makes me want to watch him. He looks like a big fucking nerd. I can totally see why he was living with his parents for a long time and then got married to the first girl he dated. I'm sure he's a great talent, and we are so lucky to have him, but man, do not put this man on screen. And then they do it again for mine.
This is in an appreciation of Ray Bradbury.
But look, okay, we're not going to see him tons through this whole thing, but in this season 1, I don't know if this will be true for other season 1 episodes, he then starts the whole show by having another skit where he's at a train station with a bunch of fog and he's walking around and he goes, I collect things for blah, blah, blah to the train guy. And what is out here? There's no train. And then trains come down the tracks, but it actually just sitting there on the tracks doing nothing. And this attendant goes, why, that shouldn't be the blah, blah, blah train. And Ray Bradbury turns to the camera and goes, it might not be, but it might be a story.
Yeah.
Fade 2. Jeff Goldblum staring out a window. I was like, wow, we are, oh, right, cool. We're in it now. Is this going to happen every time? No, it does not. But what a magical moment. Jeff Goldblum is staring out the window, watching as towns go by. He's talking to a businessman, and they start this kind of argument about the validity of small town life. Jeff Goldblum, aka Cogswell, is like, man, the incredible things they get up to, small town games and the heart, and they all in there with each other and loving each other and great people, the people of America, the salt of the earth, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, you don't know nothing. Small towns be shit and full of shit people, and they're boring. And I dare you to stop at one of these small towns, get off, and you should do it. And he's like, no, I got stuff to do. And he's like, what? You're a writer, right? And he's like, no. He's like, you're a writer, and you're in this fantasy land about a small town life. You go and you do this. And he's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. So stops the train, gets out a random small town, and guess what? Town's shit. Immediately is ignored by the train station guy. He tries to talk to him like, hey, where can I stay, bud? And he's like, does not even look at him. He's like, where can I keep my stuff, bud? And he's like, over there in that random like door. Okay, cool. See you later. Walks around the town. Everyone is awful. People are like closing up the shops whenever he walks up near him. Like people are ignoring him. They won't talk to him. He tries to go to a place that says like room for rent. He's like, hey ma'am, I would like to rent your room. And she's like, it's rented. I'm like, this is not how you run a business, lady. Okay. I don't know why you're doing that. It doesn't really make any sense why people are being not very nice to him. But one guy does start to follow him. In fact, he follows him from the front of the train station where he's been sitting on a chair. And eventually, after Cogswell gives up on trying to talk to people, he notices this dude following him. He gets a little creeped out and finally talks to the man. And the guy is like, oh, yeah, small towns, Hey, why don't you get a drink with me in this weird shed? And he's like, okay, cool. He follows them there, and the guy's being nice to him. He's talking about this kind of the way that life is out there. And then he starts to tell him the story about how, he retired a long time ago, and he decided he was going to sit and wait. And in fact, he's been waiting for Jeff Goldblum this whole time. 20 years for somebody to show up, because he has this idea in his head that maybe a perfect stranger will get off on a train, and maybe that perfect stranger can be killed by him in this shed. And Jeff Goldblum kind of stops him and goes, you know what? We are similar people, because I was sitting there in this train fantasizing about getting off at a random town and maybe just killing somebody and how easy it would be. And he puts his hand in his pocket pretending like he's got a gun, or maybe he does. It's hard to know. Cut to, we see Jeff getting back on the train, and the old man gets back in his chair. Ooh. My thoughts. Man, it's a stressful episode. It's aged very badly, very badly. Everyone in this town fucking sucks. He must hate small towns. Ray Bradbury.
He must have actually lived in a small town.
He must have lived in a small town.
Living in a small town where you don't conform to what everybody thinks you should.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that sounds familiar to me. That's not far off.
Mm-hmm. It's true. As somebody who also grew up in a very small town, yeah, absolutely. People kind of fall into their roles, and that's it for life. But I mean, it's like angry. It's like angry at these people. It is hard to get a soda out of a machine back in the day. That's for sure. I don't know what you people did, but Jesus. It's fucking all weird. You're getting it out of an ice box or some shit. Trivia, the town's name was Erewhon, which spells nowhere backwards.
Oh.
And the dialogue between Cogswell and the old man is almost word for word, exactly as Ray Bradbury had it in his short, which is what this is based upon, which I could not figure out what book it's in, but
I remember reading this one, and I remember this episode. I kind of like this episode just because
wasn't too bad. It was
it's
fun.
whimsical.
It's one of the higher rated ones.
It is.
Is it?
Yeah,
It's like
in
in
the
one of
top
the
10
top.
of most lists.
Mm-hmm.
What I did for Ray Bradbury reading is I just went to my digital library card and rented one that has like hundreds of. It'd be like a 800-page book if you'd have it in physical form.
I found the Cliff Notes version, and I was like, "This is a
It's only like
sad day."
4. I should say most of these stories are like 4 or 5
I
pages.
know. I was
long.
like, "Why am I reading this? This is insane."
Hey, look at that.
I know. I also watched this episode,
Mm.
and every episode starts with The Office.
Yes.
But Ray on the train stop, I was like, oh no, this is
Sir, stop what you're doing.
This is not great acting.
Yeah, no. And he has a kind of a strange voice for a start of a show.
Yeah.
It gave me a lot of those Guillermo del Toro Cabinet Curiosity vibes. I was like, you know what? It's okay to just be a creative.
You don't always have to try to do what Alfred Hitchcock pulled off so well.
True. It's true.
It's also Jeff Goldblum. It's hard to remember Jeff Goldblum in this period of time. This is prior to The Fly, and he hasn't quite gotten his quirkiness down yet.
Yeah.
So
he's still figuring himself out, but he's a cute young dude.
Yeah.
And that's great.
The thing is, he would have killed this if he had been the Jeff Goldblum that we know and love.
Yeah.
And he had just had his little and I was also thinking that I might want to stop and kill someone. If he had those kind of deliveries going on, I think it would have made a much funnier episode.
I agree. But it's got a charm. It's got a real late 80s, early 90s charm to it. A lot of the
failed racism and sexism.
Oh man, the music is pretty rough. I was like, this is an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
The music is pretty rough.
Yes, yeah.
Eric, 10 minutes.
All righty. So mine was called The Pedestrian.
Tennis shoes to remind me of what? The first nights of summer when as a boy I ran in the cool grass, or later walking at night, being stopped by police who were suspicious of the only one walking for miles and miles. Upset with this encounter with the law, what else could I do but write about shoes and night and walking as a criminal in some future year in a story called The Pedestrian?
This is from 1989, and if you look on IMDb and Wikipedia, this is season 3, episode 5. If you look on Peacock or Google search, this is season 4, episode 5.
Oh,
yeah, those numbers were wildly all over the place.
So I was like, and then you said I think it was only supposed to be 3 seasons in its original run out of Canada. When you talked about the trivia or something like that, did you say it was 3 seasons?
I think it was
it's 6.
Well, it's 6 seasons total.
6
it was
total.
3 seasons on HBO and then 3 seasons on USA.
That makes more sense then. Also, why there'd be commercial breaks.
Yes, the commercial breaks because didn't the town where no one got off have a
Yeah,
but
it had a
that was an
couple.
HBO show. I don't know.
Who knows? Well, this was directed by Alan Bollinger. This is the only thing he's directed. However, he's got over 72 productions as DP or camera operator, including some little films. Well, one of my obscure favorites, Forgotten Silver.
Oh, nice.
Heavenly Creatures.
Oh.
See a theme here?
Yeah.
The Frighteners. And second unit DP for the Lord of the Rings movies.
Very nice. Man, that's fun.
So, voiceover work. He's the narrator for Beauty and the Beast, Lady in the Water. 172 credits. Most narration. The other actor in it is Grant Tilley, who's Dangerous Orphans, Warm Night on a Slow-Moving Train. Sounds like a weird porno movie. 30 Days of Night. Stig Edlund is a narrator for Power Rangers, Dino Charge, and even more Power Rangers. And Matt Murphy, who was the guitar player for the Blues Brothers.
Oh.
Remember the guy who was with when they go to the restaurant to pull that one guy. It's that guy.
Okay.
This opens up that regular narration going, man, I've seen that elevator in a lot of movies. It looks so familiar. The film for this one starts off with, this is Ray Bradbury going off on modern television and a variety of other things.
Oh my gosh.
It is a strong criticism of losing yourself to television. So there's some real strong parallels to modern world of the internet. The basic storyline is David is out for a walk at night, and he goes to his friend's house. And his friend is, of course, enraptured by the television and doesn't necessarily want to go anyplace. Matter of fact, it sounds like he's not supposed to go anyplace. But David has brought him an entire outfit in black, including quiet sneakers, so they can go and walk around at night and not be seen. Again, you're getting, and then another round of strong criticism of TV is unleashed by David. And it's still fun to listen to because it's Ray Bradbury. It's very obviously Ray Bradbury writing for these. It's very flowery and very really cool to listen to. And David just delivers it beautifully. So it really works. So then the idea basically is they just go outside and they start looking around and they walk by people watching their TVs and a dog barks and David says something to the effect that he understands we're in a place where maybe we're not supposed to be and he wishes he could be, which is why that dog is barking. And he also comments that they see like spotlights going around. It's like, don't worry, there's only one helicopter patrolling our area. We should be safe. There aren't very many police left in the world or something, which is interesting as well.
Okay.
Saying that basically everybody's been kowtowed enough that they don't need.
Oh, by television.
Yeah. That they don't need to have the cops out doing things. There's also an interesting take on what's going on big time in our world right now, especially with AI taking over, where he complains about you can't just call somebody to get information or to learn things. There's no real people around to help you anymore. I was like, when the hell was this written? They get caught. And then it's a very interesting back and forth between the helicopter asking them questions and identifying them with absolutely no problem. It's like, look up at us. Okay, so-and-so at this height and this weight and this, all this stuff. And it's quite interesting and telling and well worth watching. I thought this one was actually, it sounded like I started off on a very good note from what both of you have said. Because, yeah, the production value is low. This helicopter is obviously a radio-controlled little helicopter. But then it's supposed to be person-sized at the end. So I'm like... But some of it just could be the gravitas of David and his delivery.
Sure.
He just nails every moment of wanting to be able to live in a world where you can just walk around at night and not be a big deal and not be a problem. And eat the grass, which is a strange little moment in the short. But yeah, this one's damn good. It's supposed to take place in the year 2053.
Oh.
So
we got time.
That's right. It's based, of course, on the short story by Ray Bradbury, first published in 1952 in the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction. Short story differs somewhat from the book in that, or from the movie, and there's only him. There's only one character. And he goes out and wanders around, and everything that happens, but since it's all going on in his head.
They needed somebody he could deliver lines to.
Exactly. And it works. The adaptation works really well. I thought it was a very, very solid interpretation of his own story, which not all writers can do.
Right.
He nailed it on this one. They both have the same joke. The helicopter stops and what's your profession? Writer. No profession. And I also looked up because I was, like I said, it sounds like I started at the top of the mountain almost on this one, but so I'm looking at going, is this available? Like I've got 3 series of Night Gallery that's been remastered and put on Blu-ray and all this shit. Out of print DVDs. Oh, nobody's taken the time yet to dive in and really remaster this, which I hope someone does just because.
Oh, are you telling me that the out of print DVDs is the quality that we were watching?
Yeah. Oof. I think that's be my guess.
That's rough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that
it doesn't
tough.
Look like, I mean, even like the remastered stuff that HBO shows, like that Lovecraft
Oh, yeah.
one that they went back and remastered and looks fantastic
Yeah.
on HBO now. But these do not. These don't look. The Peacock one, because I watched one episode on Freevee before I realized they were also on Peacock. So, and the same quality.
Okay.
I was
Oh,
hoping Peacock
interesting.
would be a little better, maybe,
Right.
because
Yeah.
they bought it or whatever, and were showing it. But nope.
Wow.
The Pedestrian. I'm going to watch that one.
Yeah, that
It was
sounds
good.
awesome.
Eric, you beat your time.
Weird.
How the hell did I pull that off?
It's like these shows are 24-minute episodes or something.
Oh, I believe they're 26.
The one I watched was clearly 24. I don't know about you.
I do have other trivia about Bradbury that I want to.
We do have 4
Ooh.
more episodes of this, or 3 more episodes.
Yeah. Bradbury was a close friend of Charles Addams, and Addams illustrated the first of Bradbury's stories about the Elliots, a family that resembled Addams' own Addams family,
Oh, cool.
placed in rural Illinois. Bradbury's first story about them was Homecoming, published in the 1946 Halloween issue of Mademoiselle, and Addams' illustrations accompanied it. Addams and he planned a larger collaborative work that would tell the family's complete history, but it never materialized, and according to a 2001 interview, they went their separate ways.
That's
I saw that Homecoming was one of the episodes, so
Oh, it
maybe
is.
I'll dig into
Ooh.
that one.
Ooh la la.
Okay, well, how do you guys feel about this? Is this fun?
It's fun. It's nice to do something a little bit different,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
though I do wish the quality was a little higher.
I do too.
I'm good, at least with the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This just feels, we're recording this on October 1st. It has been a couple of spectacular autumn days here in the Pacific Northwest where, you wake up and it's 43 degrees out and
Yeah.
misty and foggy. And then by the end of the day, it's 70 degrees and sunny and the leaves are falling and all that. And I'm like, this feels like a good time to be watching this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Very true.
absolutely. It's nice to dig further into the Bradbury verse for me too. So
Yeah, it really made me want to go back and read again. He was an author I read extensively as a middle schooler.
Mhm.
And I think that you'd almost look at this stuff and kind of think of it as young adult fiction because
Yeah.
so many of his protagonists are kids.
Yeah.
But I remember, getting older and I just stopped reading him for some reason.
He's a guy for some reason I never read much of. I think maybe he'd fallen into that assignment for school reading thinking.
Right.
yes.
And, when I got through that a couple times, I read some amazing stuff. Maybe teachers know what they're assigning.
Yeah.
But the reading these stories and the ones in that Kindle book I borrowed from the library are fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can see
very
why he
cool.
had a 44-decade plus career or whatever it was.
And why so many, contemporary authors list him as a huge influence
Yeah.
on their own work.
Mm.
Okay, well, so that's the episode. This is where we take the time to thank everybody who's liking and sharing posts, who's participating in the value for value model. And I would like to remind people that if you feel like you want to drop a couple of bucks to keep the sales in the pirate ship going.
Give a shout out to Jamie for his recent contribution. Very
Jamie.
generous.
Thank you.
Thank you
Very generous.
much.
Thank you so much, brother. You can also do a monthly subscription. We've got that set up on the website as a PayPal thing. You can donate however much you'd like to. $1 a month. Yeah, we'll take it.
Sure.
Anything else, guys? I know that next week we're talking big time about your visit to Fantastic Fest, Vanessa. I'm looking forward to that. And we will be each watching another episode of Ray Bradbury Theater, which is available on Peacock or Freevee or... I think that might be it, actually.
Something else, but it's
Pluto,
nothing major.
Pluto TV.
Yeah,
I
Pluto,
think,
that's what it is, yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
I also need to take just a moment to say I just saw that History of the Occult, the movie that I loved so much, available for free on Tubi now.
Wow.
So
Go see it.
If you guys haven't had a chance to watch that, please watch that.
It's mind blowing.
It really is. I'm going to watch it again. Wait, I own it. I bought it. So
You don't
can
need
watch
to.
it anytime you want.
You can skip the 2B commercials.
I'm going to make Carlos watch it.
You know what? Watch it in the background so that it gets the numbers.
Careful.
Streaming
He'll give
numbers.
it a rating of 6 and call it whack.
Whack.
Oh my God. Carlos is learning. He's learning a lot about how to rate movies. We salute you, sir, on your journey.
All right, guys, that's the episode. We will be back in 7 short days talking again about Ray Bradbury Theater. See you next Thursday. Transportation and other considerations for Strange Eons Radio produced by Pan Am Airlines. When you think of traveling, think of Pan Am. You can't beat the experience. Guests of Strange Eons Radio stay at Econo Lodge Everett. It's an easy stop on the road, if you know what we mean. Strange Eons Radio is recorded live in front of a studio audience. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a positive review on your favorite podcast app. Sit, Ubu, sit.
Pride, Prejudice, and Mistletoe.